all here this evening. We're here to celebrate the third project that Maka, Kulimoe'anga, Maka and I have presented in Christchurch, and for me that's a real thrill. And I'm just going to talk briefly, really by way of introduction, because Stone is a terrific speaker about many things actually, but I will just I'll keep him to his practice. When I was trying to shape it, just considering what this exhibition might look like, I was aware that out in South Brighton in a little garage, and then out in a big area outside, and then on top of the kitchen table later at night, there were big tapa being made. And then there were smaller paintings. And those of you who know Stone's practice, and there are many of you here in the room, those paintings are spiders' webs, and they've been genuinely smoked, and there's often oil paint upon them. They tend to be a bit smaller than the tapa, so as a gallerist, that was one of the tensions I was trying to bring together, and as harmonious or as interesting a presentation as we could make in the gallery. And I think we've done that actually. There was one night this week I was sort of awake at 3 o'clock thinking, can we fit that other big one in? No, we've got to make room for the smaller paint. It's a little dance. And all I want to say about that dance before Stone speaks is that I remember this young man when he arrived in Christchurch more than 20 years ago. And we just started talking. And I immediately recognized a very genuine temperament, a personality that just wanted to keep persisting, keep making. On one level, couldn't care too much what people thought about what he did, because he just wanted to keep on making. And I remember more than 20 years ago that although I thought then that the practice wasn't quite as confident as it needed to be for me to work with him, it is now, don't get me wrong, but back then, just talking with the man, just visiting him, out at Parklands, those visits, those chats, just hearing about him talk about what he was making, how he was making it. It was a thrill. For a Palangi from Christchurch, it was a real thrill. And now we stand before big tapa, smaller smoke and spiderweb paintings. This is Maiki painting here. I reckon this is, to my eye, one of the very best paintings that Stone Maka has ever made. There's a quiet asymmetry to it. The smoke is now getting a little bit brushed. I've never seen that before. There's a window within a window. We look into some depth, light and dark. Right in the foreground is this really heavy troweling of red oil paint. A use of spiderweb that is slightly porous, more open than I've ever seen before. In contrast to this oil paint, this. Lighter, thinner. Not even filled in the circle. And in the black, these little inflections of light. Just talking with Stone about his painting, just encouraging him to keep moving, keep experimenting. Seeing these two paintings out in South Brighton a little while ago was an absolute thrill. There's some stock in the back gallery from gallery artists that you will know. That's it from me, because without any further ado, Stone Maka.
Thank you, Jonathan. I think Jonathan lifted me too high. I was waiting for the fall. What can I say? I just want to acknowledge of Jonathan Smart and his colleagues of Jonathan Smart Art Galleries for their tremendous energy organizing my third show with them. I also acknowledge friends and family that I have been invited to come, especially the Pickleball Canterbury Club, Pickleball clubs. Thank you. There are somewhere around here. It's a new thing for me to join with that sport and keep me away from this. I told my wife 5 years ago, this sport is the only sport that take away my inspiration and focus, and then I forget about art. Sometimes I travel with my wife on a holiday thinking I'm gonna go on a holiday and forget about art. But on the way, I saw some topography, mountain somewhere. I said, I'm take a photo of that. I want that view. and then my wife said, can you forget about art? And all the artists here, they know your brains work 24/7 of trying to get out with those designs that fill up your brains and your heart. So, pickleball. It's one of the things, Jonathan, that stopped my brain from thinking creative.
Why do you think mine?
Yeah. So I also wanted to acknowledge my wife, long suffering. Any artists here that married and have kids, you know what I'm saying. The support from her is never stopped from the day one. Before we got married, I told her, Tanya, I'm an artist. I was born with this curse in my head. I don't want to work. I want to create art. If you want to come with me, I'm going to paint. I'm not going to find any job in a factory or anywhere. So she said, that's okay. And then after the wedding, and then, So I want to acknowledge her support for over 21 years. She's still Last but not least, I'm going to speak about a little bit about my art and how I make them and why I make them. If you have a question, Jonathan Smart is the best person. I was born to and love to create. I hate school, but I still have to go to school. I came here almost 30 years ago. I was stuck in the art industry with all the established artists in New Zealand. Most of them I know and they are friends. And I can't find a way that I can get through to Jonathan's Art Gallery to have a show because of these amazing artists. So I came back and forth trying to manipulate his brain to take me in. But he mentioned before, he want to see how I create works and how I'm going with my journey in the art. And finally I passed in his test. So I was stuck with all those designs that Pacific Islander artists create. And I went back home and I said to my mother, do you know all the design and the motive that we've done here with all my life in Tonga. It's already done in New Zealand. It's all over. And I don't know what to do, because I wanted to do the same thing we did here, traditionally, but it's all done in New Zealand. So what can I do? So Mum mentioned there are two kind of tapa cloth in Tonga, which one is white and one is black. Most artists who use tapa cloth here in New Zealand, they are focused on the white tapa. The black tapa is belong to the monarchy of Tonga. We only create them for the king. It's black with one line in the middle or a dot on the side. From there, in my head, abstract art was invented, I don't know, between 1910 to 1912, Munich, Germany. And then I was looking at my black tapa, and Tonga was created over 200 years ago, and I said, how are those black tapa in Tonga with one line or a dot or something in it, how that not an abstract art? That's the foundation of my work. It's the black tapa of Tonga. Then carry on, I found one of the medium that they use. For example, in here, there's so many layers. We use clay behind all of what you're looking at. And also on top of the clay, there are mangrove dye and fabric dyes and Indian ink. So traditional black tapa of Tonga, they use also smoke. And then I pull out the smoke only and work on it on canvas, still from the black tapa of Tonga. And one of the design that on the black tapa is 1 circle and 3 circle. Those who know the brand Hafa, where do you get the 3 dots from? Because 3 dots in my traditional tapa art in Tonga, it represents 3 kings of Tonga. Now there's only 1 left. So I pull up those circles and use it in my painting, but kind of like full, a little bit of taste of contemporary feeling. But the circle and lines are traditional form of the black tapa of Tonga. Come back to the canvas. I use smoke because it is from my roots as one of the medium that have been used on the black tapa. If you want to see the original one, Canterbury Museum keep 2 pieces of smoked tapa of Tonga, maybe 1930s. So that's why I use smoke on my canvas. And spider webs. How the heck spider web come into traditional idea? For the long suffering of my wife, I was looking for a medium that can describe myself, or a self-portrait. How can I say this? Spider webs is a home for the spider, right? It's also a trap. Art, that's the same thing. And I thought, spider web is the perfect medium to describe the artist. That's why spider web is on top of the smoke. So, besides from the beauty of spider web itself, I've been like developing this process for over 7 years. But 2004, and 7 years from 2004, I managed to to build a little tool that gets the spider without breaking it, and then take it home and spray paint it. And then I also had problem of trying to transfer from that tool onto the canvas, break 1,000 of them. And I managed to what do you see on webs. I also learned there's so many different spiders, different webs that they create. But one spider, they can create a similar, same design. At home, I keep few of them, and I name them. I feed them with flies, they leave me webs. One of the spider is my favorite spider, which is not with me anymore. Maybe he's sick of working for me. I call that spider Little John because I like watching Robin Hood's movie. Little Johns know me. I have a video of that. Every time I come to feed, she ran in straight to the middle of the webs and waving me, and then I just dropped the flies. So from there, I feel like webs is beautiful itself, but you can't really see it until you spray paint it, and you can see the detail of how hard that poor spider works. Well, from there, my webs connect all of us. The spider web connect all of us, even the visible people, the education people, the artists, the family. And that's another idea of spider webs. Wherever you are is my spider web is connected to you after tonight. Any questions?
Can I just ask, you said you spray the spider web, and I know that spider webs are strong, but I would imagine, what are you spraying them with?
Enamel spray paint.
How come the weight doesn't break it?
That's a technique I mentioned before, 7 years. Every time you spray the spider webs, you move. If you touch the circle where I catch the spider web, it's like glass. Because when you spray paint it, they turn into like solid, and you move it, it breaks. So I'll give you a little secret. I use vinyl paint. Vinyl paint you only use on leather. So it's like a little bit. It still break, but I'm very steady. Yeah.
And not too close? Like
That more than 15 centimeter away from the spider web. So I hardly use there's a spray paint that I use that you have a nozzle that minimize the air that came out. Yeah.
And you said
Yeah, go ahead.
you said you used the word you take the smoke. How do you take smoke and
Okay.
use it on a canvas?
The smoke traditionally in Tonga, those who know about candlenut seed, they're like walnuts. So we boil them, and the meat become like a rubber. And then we connect them in one little wire or something, and then we burn those little seeds and collect the smoke. It takes hours and days to collect smoke. And then mix it with coconut oil, and that's what we use for our tattoo and our black tower.
Where do you collect it?
We I'll talk about it. In the ancient time, they used the pot, and then they scrape the coconut meat and then squeeze out the milk and then paint the inside of the pot with those coconut milk. And they place the pot on top of the fire and it catches the smoke residue. For hours you scrape it, you put it on, scrape it, and collect those one and mix it with the coconut oil. And it becomes a very thick and dark black ink. The Maori probably, I've heard the Maori, they burn roots of the pingao and then they crush them and then mix with whatever liquid they use for the same purpose. So that's how I take the smoke. I have to catch the smoke first. Yeah. On the canvas, I hang my canvas in my studio, and then I stay with the fire on the bottom. I look like an astronaut.
So the canvas is a literalist.
Yes.
No.
The first process relates to getting the blacks up.
Yes, so that's very original. And how do you and how do you apply? You said there are several layers on that tapa. How do you actually apply, like the clay or whatever you said?
My family, my mom, before she passed away, she was my tapa supply, and 5 of my sisters. There are 12 of us. So I have a big tapa factory supply. I will never run out.
Thank you, Mum and Dad.
But I used to grow the plant at home with another 6 boys, brothers. We look after the plant for 3 years, and then we harvesting, and then we help stripping the bark from the stem of the mulberry tree. And then we separate the inner bark from the outer bark. So what you see here, this is the inner bark. So after you separate them, is the strip about this, about 2 meters, a meter, and then we beat them with the wooden anvil on a wooden mallet on a wooden anvil, and it become this wide for about 2 or 1 meter, and then we connect them to make big one like this.
How do you connect them? Because there's no seed.
We half cook the tapioca or manioc or cassava. It become a glue stick, and then you connect them, and it's. After that, you come back to your question, and then we use the first layer is a clay. We call it red clay, and then we paint it all over and leave it there for a couple of days, and then they send it over to me, and I do the rest. That's when the dye, the fabric dye, the Indian ink come into it. Yeah, Tanya.
Why have you named the show like?
I almost forgot, sorry. That's why that lady loves me. Mono, it sounds like an English word, but it's a Tongan word. Different from the English word. Same spelling, different meaning. Mono is a Tongan word that we use for when the tapa is ripped or torn, then you being told to cut a piece that fit on that hole and patch it up. That's the process of fixing a hole in tapa. It's called mono. And I was thinking of this show, it's like finding a way to fix that hole inside my heart or my brain when I ran out of idea. How can I find something to place on that hole? Sometimes the inspiration is ran out and it's like empty here. And I'm thinking, oh, this is similar with the process of fixing hole in tapa. I gotta find a way to fix that. And that's why I use this show and call it mono. But the word itself means in tapa factory to fix up the hole.
And one last comment from me, when I come out and get told that the show is called Mono, black tapa on the central wall, Stone, I just need to look at it and go, Stone, you have turned the mono, the patches, which is actually an element of collage, isn't it, when you patch. There's so many, the patchwork in the tapa look to me like modernist collages. And I think the overlap is a really, really interesting thing. Really interesting thing. And Stone talked about the simple abstraction, the elements in Tom and Tapa, circle, line, colour. That's what we're seeing here. Stone Maka, thank you so much for the money, man.